Hey y'all, Kevin Hutchison here with Realty Austin, and I am grateful to be a part of Stories Inside the Man Cave, a homegrown podcast just like my own business.
You know, we're supposed to be talking about positive things and spring training right now. And I got our guy, Ty Harrington. He's on every podcast within a 30-mile circumference of Austin, Texas. And he talks about baseball. Good friend of the pod, been a guest on here before. Ty, your resume is rather long and lengthy as far as podcast appearances. Am I correct?
I don't know. It depends on what podcast you're talking about, but no, it is not. I've only been invited to yours one time. This is just my second, by the way. So when you want to make it sound like I've been on all these podcasts, I've been on some other ones, and but only this will be my second time with you.
And they keep getting better because we keep getting better with age. And I got to point out, I want to show you your graphic here. Look at that. Just for people who are maybe not in the great state of Texas, listening or watching in other parts of the country, Ty not only played at the University of Texas, he was a college baseball coach and had a great career. And look at that, 621 career wins, majority of those in the jewel of the Texas Hill Country, San Marcos, Texas.
Absolutely.
SWT and Texas State. How do you sum up that career?
I would sum it up in a way that it was truly an incredible, and I use the word incredible, time in my life, because it truly was. And I've always been grateful and blessed with the idea that I had a chance to work there and be a part of that great university. And it was used to be a hidden jewel. Yeah. Well, the secret's out, and it is no longer a hidden jewel. And so everybody's trying to bust at the seams to get down there, and rightfully so. I mean, you got the river, you got the square, you've got a 40,000, person university. I mean, it's big time, and it's fun, and the town is great. The community is great. The people are unreal. Yeah. And it truly is one of the God's special places without any doubt.
I couldn't disagree. And they have a pretty special baseball facility there. That's your good friend, the Coach Trout, that's taken over at you.
He has.
I'd like to say appointed, but he was a good fit to slide in after you decided to call it and hang up the cleats in the coaching cleats, so to speak.
Yes, it was important for me that the next person was somebody that had been in the family. All of his staff had either played for me or coached for me. And so at some point in time, we'd all worked together, and two of the four I'd coached. And so it was important when you build something, I think it's important, if you can, doesn't always work out that way, to hand it off to somebody that it's that important to. They're vested before they even take the reins of it. Yeah. And at that point in time in my life, things had changed from a professional level, a personal level. There were so many things involved with it. And the timing came up that we had just won a conference championship, and Sun Belt, the first, men's conference championship, and something we were truly proud of and still are. And so it just seemed like the appropriate time, that we were hot at the time. And if it was going to transition into something, that was going to be the moment. It worked out. And look at them now. Yeah. Hey, look at the start they're off to now. I mean, I talked to Steven today, and I did their game last night with UTRGV with Derek Matlock, who was also one of my assistants. And when we were way back in the Southland, which you're familiar with, being an SFA boy. And last night I got to go down the field, take a picture with both of them, because they'd done so much for Texas State. And I got to be honest with you, when you wipe away the egos, they'd done a lot for me. And so last night was fun for me to see both of them out there. But it's truly fun for me to see Steven out there right now and what they've done. They're coming off a rough year last year. Yeah. But I'm telling you right now, they are some kind of good, and they are some kind of exciting to watch.
Hey, even during last year, you say it was a rough season, that you could see that there were moments that, okay, mixed it more pieces. This guy, this position group with some maturity and another year of in the program, they could be something. And now this is proof. This is how a difference a year makes, and of course, COVID and everything, and has placed a strain on college baseball rosters across the country, and in some ways made them better.
Now, let me stop you right there for a second. Hold on, because every chance I get, I'm going to say something about this. First of all, you're right about Texas State, and they've got some older players who, even on my 19 team, my last year there as sophomores, and all of them started with great players, great people. John Weathridge, who got hurt last year, arguably one of the better players, and now Sheffield, who's grown up as a shortstop, who made one error last year, one. And then in 2019 made four. I made four in one game. He made four in 1 year. That's two different, that's a long season, right? And so to see those guys mature and play at the level they're playing right now is incredible. But I wanted to say this. College baseball is the best it's ever been. And this is going to be the greatest year in college baseball history because of, and I hate to say this, because there's so many leftovers because of COVID. And there's nothing good, zero good about COVID. But what it did is that the draft and the way baseball got shuffled around and delayed, you've got older guys playing baseball. You've got 23, 24-year-old guys playing college baseball, and it is played at the highest level that it's ever been played at. And it's so much fun to watch. And now if you give them till the end of March and in mid-April, when they're all really coached up and they've all been playing together, this is going to be unbelievable. And which is going to lead us into a minute, Major League Baseball better figure it out, because college baseball is getting played at such a high level. And, and if I'm the TV networks and I'm sitting out there trying to figure out what do I do? Who am I going to put in a spot? I got it. It's college baseball, and the timing of it right now for the game to be played so clean and for it to be so good couldn't be any better, for college baseball at this point in time. And I hope Major League Baseball recognizes that. I'm sorry. I hope the TV network recognize the level of play that is going to be played in college baseball right now.
And that kind of leads us to the main motivation for this episode, the MLB Lockout. And this episode is sponsored by our guy, Kevin Hutchison of Realty Austin. The guy, he's an Austin Anderson product.
He is, isn't
he? He has been here for 2 decades, knows the market. He has seen it do this, a gradual uptick, and now this for real estate. And
they're coming here. They're not going to stop coming here, by the way.
And they're not leaving.
Yeah, I'm just telling you right now, they're still coming, regardless of what everybody thinks or what everybody might, it's going to cool down, all that kind of stuff. Not here. It is not. I mean, all the analytics, everything. Hey, why wouldn't you want to be here? Now, let's be honest. Why wouldn't you want to live in this area right here? If it's not Austin, Texas, or San Marcos, or New Braunfels, or Round Rock, why would you not want to live in this area when there's so much to do and so many cool things to do in this surrounding area? And then on top of that, throwing some really cool college baseball.
And that's going to be we're going to talk more about college baseball at the bottom of this special short episode. And the reason why, Ty, let me tell you something about this guy. I mean, not only was he coach, he's dialed into every aspect of the game, every levels, from the select, the travel ball, college, and pros, because he has coached some guys who are really on that big stage, but they can't play right now because of this lockout. I guess, Ty, when we talk about this, now we're talking to the point where the season opener, there's going to be some games that the season opening day has been pushed back now.
Yep.
Before we hear from the guy who I think is not doing much for the game as far as growth, what's your overall take for the common folks who have not been following this? How do you interpret all this?
Well, there's a bunch of people like me that if you take away that I've got former players who are playing in the big leagues and people I compete against or we compete against that I pay attention to. So let's take that segment away, right? That ties me in probably tighter than some, but let's take that away. I love watching baseball.
Yeah.
And I love at 10 o'clock at night watching highlights on ESPN. I mean, let's be real. I mean, if you can't watch all the games, then you get on at 10:30 at night and you get the highlights because you can click on anything and get a highlight nonstop. And I love seeing it. And then I love watching the great plays. I love watching the really cool things about baseball that have meant so much to me. And I'm not alone. I truly am. There's no way I'm alone. When you look at how much money's been involved with baseball and how much viewership and how much thirst and hunger there is today for baseball to come on TV, particularly coming out of, last year was better with COVID and games being played, but the year before was, and I was saying, everybody's hungry for it. They want to go to the ballpark. They want to sit and go eat a hot dog. They want to drink a beer at the ballpark. They want to, go get a mound of nachos so big they can't even eat half of them, and have indigestion driving home. But all those things are really cool ideas. But obviously, the first part of the season is not going to take place, and who's to blame for that? You can choose sides. You can do a lot of things. Probably for me, the easiest thing to do is to choose sides, not necessarily choose sides, but to look at it from the player's perspective. And there's a lot of statistics. There's a lot of money issues. There's a lot of things involved in this. When you read between the lines, it's big numbers, but over a long haul, it's not as big as, maybe what a lot of people might think. And obviously, I'm going to be close. I don't own a team.
Nice.
So I'm going to be closer to the players who, actually former players, whatever it is, I'm going to side with them. What's interesting is I think the general public probably will too. Side with them, if that's the right word, favor them, look towards their direction a little bit more. And I don't know the complete reason for that other than when you have people come across that are basically saying, hey, we're so far apart, we're this, we're that, and you've got minor leaguers that are starving. You've got, the minimum, pay now, which is a big piece of this, or a piece, I should say, a piece of this process. And you look at, everybody says, well, you got millionaire baseball players. You do. Not as many as you might think, but you do have some. I think somebody threw a stat at me today. A friend of mine threw a stat at me as like 65% of Major League Baseball millionaires or something like that, which is good, by the way. But it is a very short-lived lifespan in professional baseball. It's not like it's going to last forever. And the other part of that is they play 162 games. So they are on TV 162 times if they don't make the playoffs. They are performing in front of a camera like an actor does 162 days out of the year or whatever the number is. I think, and then you start throwing the playoffs in and all those kinds of things. And it makes sense. I mean, how many episodes of a TV show are there, right, that come on at night?
Endless.
I don't even know what your favorite show is, but if you had your favorite show and it's on for 30 minutes a night, then, how long is that on for 30 minutes? These cats are doing it live. This is Saturday Night Live, the 3-time version, 3 hours version of Saturday Night Live every night. And so, in my opinion, they should get rewarded for that and get paid for who they are and what they do and the entertainment value of it. And the entertainment value is up to me and you as to what we get out of that, in my opinion. Everybody's different about that. You can go sit in a bar and sit next to 10 people and they're not watching the game. Sit next to 10 other people and they're slamming their beer down on the table. Yeah, they're fist pumping and all that pumping and all the above. So there's a lot to this, and a lot more than you and I, a lot deeper than you and I are going to get to.
100%.
Yes.
100%.
By the way, we're going to be on the surface of this. And again, I think it's natural for people like you and I who are fans to go, hey, let's go. The owners, you guys own these huge teams, and who knows what kind of huge company along with it. And let's get this thing going.
I'm with you 100%. As a fan, I don't have any connections to this collective bargaining agreement. The problem I have with it is the simple fact that we knew the CBA had an expiration date. And just here in the recent days, they really started, the last week or so, started meeting. All right. But it's been, I think, 10 days. And I'm worried about the future of the game. And a reporter that was out where they were meeting and asked this question of Rod Manfred, and we can discuss him. But he receives all the heat and the criticism because he's the commissioner of baseball.
Right.
But these are so many people. It's the owners. It's the owners, commissioner versus the Players Association. And this is the question that was asked to Rob Manfred, the commissioner of MLB. And this is his response about why were they just now having negotiations trying to, and what you just said, they're so far apart.
It feels like real bargaining went on just in the last 24 to 36 hours. I'm sure people are wondering why not over the last three months or even longer to get to a point where you're not necessarily canceling games because there's some momentum here.
Yeah, I think the best answer to that question is the last 10 days. We've been here ready to bargain, full committees, owners, players for 10 days, and it got going 2 days before the deadline. That's the best explanation I can give you.
So we didn't learn anything.
It sounds like me before one of my finals.
Yeah.
I mean, truthfully.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. And those were painful for me. So that tells you that my interest level wasn't going to be very good, right? But the reality is this is way bigger than that. Why can't they sit down before now? Why can't they collectively sit down as two different sides and get together and start at an earlier time and go, hey, we all know this is the national America's game, in my opinion, and say, how do we not figure this out for everybody? Let's do this. Let's all sit down at the table. And then at the end of the day, even though we're mad, let's go have dinner. Let's have a few drinks. Let's have a few beers, a few waters, whatever it may be. It makes you happy. And let's sit down and rethink it and re-talk about it. And then let's take 24 hours, which I'm going to bring this into because my dad told me one of the greatest rules in life is take 24-hour rule. Anytime you make any major decision, any thought that you have that's really important, take 24 hours, think about it, see how you wake up the next day. And if you wake up the next day feeling the same way, go forward.
Execute.
Or whatever that might be. And I would love for them to have set down a calendar as adults with such a huge responsibility. And I don't know which side didn't want to meet. I have no idea on this. And if either one of them didn't want to, we kind of have to say shame on either one or both, whichever one. I'm not sure. You can make your calendars work for this. So, and the TV networks and for everybody, the people working at the ballparks, the people's bars, restaurants that are depending on this, you guys all could have picked a time before now as adults and sat down and said, hey, let's work this out. But it always goes down to cramming for the study or studying, cramming for the final, I should say. And I don't, why? Because they know there's a deadline. They know they can procrastinate. They keep waiting. One side keeps waiting for the other to, blink or whatever you want to call it, or give up or give in, whichever one it is. And it's unfortunate for baseball and for the people like us who are fans and the people who work around, the baseball side of it. And how cool would that have been? What kind of standard could they have set for everybody moving forward if they would have gone and made a huge deal with the TVs and everybody else saying back in a month ago, 2 months ago, we got it. This is the way we do business. This is how we're going to do this. Now, you don't think the media wouldn't have gone after every other sport or every other company or every other thing standard-wise saying, hey, look, Major League Baseball got this done a month earlier. And so whichever, I mean, that's the way life goes. That's the way people negotiate. And I totally get it. I mean, I'm in negotiations often in the business I'm in now. And, but would that have been cool, right?
Yeah, it would have been really cool to set a precedent. And I'd love to hear your take on this. Value your opinions. What I see happening here that I find really disturbing is there's been a trend, and I don't have the stats in front of me. It used to be, we in America, young boys, young girls play baseball at a young age,
Yep.
move up, and the retention level was pretty good. But now the retention level at about age 12, there's less playing baseball. And then you parallel that to less interest in Major League Baseball. Not everyone's wired like you and I understand that, and that's fine. But it's disturbing to me for the future of baseball and fandom, people who take interest in these games, that we may lose a generation of people who care about baseball.
Well, it'd be awful. It truly would be awful. I hope you're wrong.
I do too.
I truly do. I've never really thought of it that way. Never gone that deep with it. And based on that, I mean, I know my feelings for it. My daughters, they like to go with me every once in a while, watch college games more than pro games. All right, they would go to a game. They like the atmosphere and seeing people and whatever. But I've never really thought of it that way.
No.
Boy, that'd be so unfortunate for professional baseball moving forward, but it'd really be unfortunate for the game itself to start to lose people and start to lose interest from people and generationally. Because I can remember, Saturday baseball with Joe Garagiola with my dad, watching the Yankees or the Reds play because they were on every Saturday because they were, the two powers back then and in the 70s. And there was a connection for me in the game, watching Dave Concepcion go field ground balls on turf with one hand and, whatever it might be. There was a lot of things that went on with it in my mind, but hanging out with my dad watching the game was really cool. So I'd be disappointed for a generation of young people to miss out on something like that.
100%. And it's, I know it sounds extreme, but I just think that these lockouts, much like the one in 94 had, that was tough. And I think you continue to have these, Ty, that you start, it's just like, okay, let's help the game. Let's negotiate and resolve this. And let's market MLB, market the game better. I'm talking about MLB. The college and minor league, I think those two are great products. But as far as they need to do a better job overall, MLB does, of marketing the game. They did a great job with that opening game, the Field of Dreams.
Oh, unbelievable.
That was amazing. It's just –
and what great timing.
Oh, all of a sudden everyone's talking about it.
Unreal.
But I just think you keep having these like 94, you have now 2022. It's damaging.
It is. It is damaging. The concerning part for me is how often can you do that before people finally, like, I think that's where you're headed down the road.
Yeah.
When they finally turn the channel. And because there's so many options now, at everybody's fingertips. And when do people kind of get, go, hey, we've had enough. We're going to move on to something else. And I hope that doesn't happen. For the owners, I hope it doesn't happen for the players, because it's look, and I said a minute ago, I would probably lean towards the players more than anybody, because I have former players, right? And I'm going to hear their differences, and I'm going to hear their grievances, and I'm going to hear their ideas more than I don't know any owners anymore. I used to, but I don't now. And so I don't know. I don't have one on me calling me going, hey, look, Ty, you got to hear my side, because there are two sides to everything, right? And but I don't have that person stimulating my mindset going, hey, this, you know what they got. And I'm sure there is a pull and push and shove on this thing right now that both sides need to come to the table and try to figure out. And let's hope, obviously, let's hope that they can for everybody that loves baseball. But the tough part about it, and this is kind of this is a dangerous thing for me to say on a podcast, I think. But since I'm on yours, I feel kind of this freedom that I feel like I can. But the reality is, it's like a relationship. And when two sides, they dig in the sand so hard and they draw this line and they dig their heels in, it's much like our politics and our political system as well. You have the media, you have, everybody asking and people responding and verbalizing things that they maybe shouldn't. Maybe they don't mean, maybe half of it's relayed publicly and the other half isn't even said or misinterpreted. There's so many things about a relationship that has to evolve for things to work, that what I'm fearful of truthfully is more than anything else, and who's right or wrong, is I'm more fearful of that if you dig both heels in the sand so far, much like our political system, then it begins to fail.
Hey, if you don't already, follow the stories inside the Man Cave socials, the Facebook page, which is where all the episodes are, as well as the YouTube page. And, man, comment with us on our Twitter site, @StoriesManCave. Let us know if you agree, disagree with myself or the Ty Harrington. We love your feedback because this is a hot topic, and if you have some insight, do that too. You can even DM it if you don't want everybody else to see it. That's how this world works. Now, this next topic.
Are we going to talk college baseball now?
This is it. Thoughts on college baseball.
Thank God, it's the greatest game in America. It's the greatest game in America right now. It's the hottest game going, playing at the highest level it's ever been played. And all those stations right now that are waiting professional baseball need to pick this thing up and let's get busy. I've already said that multiple times already tonight.
Do it again.
There you go.
For the people in the back, they didn't hear you.
They did not, but I'm just telling you right now, this is the best college baseball is going to be, and this is going to be some kind of fun. And those Longhorns,
woo,
kind of fun right now. It's some kind of hot. Hey, and so are my Cats. They're hot right now too. But
they are.
If there is a deserving number one team today, not who knows what tomorrow brings. Right. I think it's a great song.
This moment.
Who knows what tomorrow may bring. But for today, it is no doubt it's Texas Longhorns. And,
so
I've seen a lot of baseball. I've seen a lot of teams play, either, myself in person or on TV, statistically, and I pay attention to all of them. And you can see, Mississippi State struggling right now. Yeah. They can't score. And, there's a lot of other teams out there. Vanderbilt's played okay. And there's a lot of teams out there. We're going to find out this weekend, when LSU and UCLA and OU and Baylor and Texas all line up. And then, there's a handful of other tournaments as well, in Frisco. And our boy Mike Hardge is going to be calling those games out there. But to be honest with you, everybody's playing second today to that bunch in orange and white, in my opinion.
We learned something about them, another piece about Texas on the midweek game at Sam Houston. Briefly exchanged texts with Coach Pierce, and I said, man, everywhere you guys go, you fill up the stadium. Number two, you learn something about your team. I know it was Sam Houston, but you know as well as I do, Sam Houston's a good program, regardless if they're mid-major.
Well, they clipped Oklahoma State last week.
Yeah, they're that good. I mean, but Texas won that game with some adversity, with all these clutch hits with 2 outs. I mean, as a coach, as a player, for those who don't understand that pressure, how do you describe that? Hitting with 2 outs and you need a rally.
Well, I mean, if you're a good hitter, you're going in there and you don't even really recognize how many outs. You're going to just not give away at bats, and you're going to get in there and compete in every at bat, no matter what the out is. But what you're saying is true, that those are backbreakers. Because these guys they'll take their walks. They don't chase. They don't expand the strike zone. They don't. I watched them the other day. They were taking pitches, 3-4 inches off the plate with the bases loaded in full counts and just spitting on them. And other guys would have been swinging, trying to foul it off, weak contact, whatever it may be. Those guys, just their strike zone recognition today is through the roof. I don't see that changing. Whether injuries change things, who knows? I mean, that's the thing about, college athletics that, change seasons, teams, all the above. They were really fortunate last year. They didn't get anybody hurt, really. And but to me, the most visible thing everybody looks at is their offensive team and their defensive team, because that's the most guys out there on the field. That's how people start going, oh, they got this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. But what's been really impressive for me is their pitching. Oh my God. It's incredible.
It's wild.
I mean, we all knew they were going to be able to play defense. We all knew they were going to be able to hit and score, and they're so versatile on their offense. But I knew they were going to have good arms. I knew but this is, unreal what they've got going on right now. And, you got 0.5 ERA. What they did to Alabama was almost unfair. And, it was unfair. And Alabama's going to be okay when they get going. I mean, I think they got beat tonight or last night by 1 again, but they're having a hard time scoring. But my feelings would have been hurt too if I'd have left here after last weekend. And, I scored 1 run in 3 games, and I'm an SEC team, and I would have probably been disappointed too. And, but bottom line is they can really pitch. I admire what David's doing. Yeah. He took his team to Corpus, and he said, hey, we're going to learn to play on the road. You know why you got to learn to play on the road? Because if you're going to win a championship, you got to win on the road, because you're going to play in the Big 12 on the road, whether you want to or not. And if you're going to win in Omaha, that's not your home ballpark. So you got to learn how to play somewhere else. You got to learn how to play in a trap game. That second game on Wednesday at Corpus, you couldn't have written trap any better. Then you beat them on Tuesday. You're in Corpus. It's cold. You're ready to go home. All those things, and those guys grind out a 5-4 win.
That's
Didn't play great, but they found a way to win. And then as soon as they get back here, the weather's terrible, and they managed to win. And again, you'll hear me say this forever. I've only been on your podcast twice. I don't know if I told you that. I've only been invited twice, but you're going to hear me say this multiple times. You only got to win by 1.
1 run.
That's it. And in baseball, it's not like football. Everybody gets really beat up and upset if in football you don't win by 10. Like, if Texas can win by 3 in a football game, and everybody, will get upset about it every once in a while. But in baseball, you just got to win by 1. It goes down as a W. You move on to the next game. The only people that worry about run differentials is the coach. Yeah. And he tries to figure out why things, but he's relieved too, to be honest with you, that they won. And so you moved on. So, but they have figured that part of it out. This weekend's going to be exciting. I mean, holy cow, that place, there's going to be 40,000 people at a college baseball game. I'm going to be one of them.
They're not afraid. I love how David schedules with those tournaments.
Yep.
Speaking of tournament, I think it was Stanford. They won the Round Rock Classic, I believe.
They did.
And then they went to UT San Antonio.
Runners got them.
Runners, man, they've got a squad this year.
They got them.
They got them. Highest ranked team at campus that they defeated.
Yeah, they got them. I'm not UTSA. It was always a big rival for me.
Right.
And that's always hard to just say, all right, we're not a rival anymore. But I think they do a good job. And I mean, he does. Pat does. In my opinion, he's a really intelligent coach. And Stanford, you talking about trap game, jump in there after playing in Round Rock and then go down there and all of a sudden you grab a Monday game but more power to them. I enjoy that every once in a while. I mean, it's good for UTSA and mid majors to do that. And I'm sure at Stanford, by the time they got home, they relived that, game, and they went to coaching it up. I can promise you that.
Hey, brother, real quick, it's going to take about a minute and a half. We got to pay tribute to this group of people right here. MANSCAPED. MANSCAPED.com. I got a little something for you, pre-recorded. And I got a promo code for you and everyone else, ManCave20. But to learn more about it, I'm here for you, Ty, and I'm here for everybody. Here you go. Yeah, we're covering about every topic imaginable here at Man Stories Inside the Man Cave, including manscaping. Manscaped.com is so popular that they have their own periodical, a newspaper. in their top headline, "We Save Balls," is pretty popular nowadays. And, you know, they really attracted me, so much so that I love the products. And they sent me this entire package I'm going to show you. Well, the premier products of this box I just showed you, the Performance Package 4.0, this bad boy, the Lawnmower 4.0. Take a listen. That is the sound of absolutely tremendous manscaping in the man cave. So today, as you're watching this episode, I encourage you to jump on to MANSCAPED.com and look for the Performance Package 4.0. You'll get the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. It is smooth, and you just feel like a piece of silk afterwards, and you feel clean. Personally, let me show you what I love the most. Right here, the ball deodorant. I know the light's a little bright here, but the ball deodorant, it smells like sweet mahogany and pheromones.
What am I supposed to say right now?
Oh, man. Hey, you just...
It's past my bedtime. I don't know what I'm supposed to think or say or contribute at this point in time.
Right. You know?
Can we go back to talking about Major League Baseball?
Yeah. But you can use the weed whacker to trim your nasal hairs.
Oh my God.
Manscaped 20. Use that promo code when you check out on manscaped.com. Of course, Ty and I, we use other.
Yes.
For this.
Yes, we do. We sure do. Matter of fact, it's a clean look.
It looks good on you.
Well, thank you. It's been that way for about 3. It was not my choice. Everybody's like, "Hey, well, you don't look so bad, bald head." Well, it was not my choice. I can promise you. I looked better when I had it parted right in the middle, and I could just, run my hand through there. And I had hair sticking out of my hat when I was in college. It would almost like curl up around the edges of my hat. And
curly Q.
I just show it to my daughters every once in a while, just so they know I did have hair.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to show you some photos. But toward the end, I look like a mangy dog. Ty, you know as well as I do, these man cave stories, how we usually end these. You've had some phenomenal ones. Last time I gave you, I teed you up for the 1987 College World Series when you went up to bat after being injured all year, and you were a captain of the Longhorns.
I wasn't injured. I was just a bad player. I wasn't a bad player. I just wasn't a great player. Back then, it took a lot to play there too. So
they were loaded. This, as you know, your guy, Man Cave Story, sponsored by Jim Saxton State Farm Insurance Agency, Westlake OG, been in Austin, Longhorn Legacy. Log on to saxtoninsurance.com, and that is one guy that will gladly take time out of his day to help you out, and more than likely, he'll be the one calling you. He has a really outgoing staff as well, and they're going to change office space, but not far. They're still downtown, but on the south side. But Ty, you're like a never-ending source of man cave stories, and that's why I look forward to this. I know it's only
that's good or bad. I'm not sure at this point.
Is there one recently a story that you remember telling when you get together with your boys, your former Longhorn teammates, or the group that you come up here, maybe for these, like with Lowry and that group?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's stories. I'm not sure I can tell them all. It was the locker room, remember?
That's right. That's what we got to draw a line somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Is there one you remember with your Bobcats when you were coaching at Texas State?
Look, I don't know. You caught me off guard. I didn't realize I was going to have to come up with a great story. I mean, I will tell you this. This just kind of goes in line with the current Longhorn group.
Right.
My freshman year at Texas in the spring of '84, they were just coming off a national championship in '83, which that group still holds over our head. And but it is what it is. But and it tells you a little bit about the program too, right? When one team can hold over your head, and every time they show up for a reunion, every time they show up for a reunion, they got their rings on. And but the reality is, we finished second in '84 and second in '85, and I think third in '87. And then second again in '89. It tells you that all those teams that I was a part of, either as a player or as a coach. But
so close.
The part that I was trying to get to was, Coach Guest would tell you before opening day, every day before opening game, he would walk in the locker room. He never gave many speeches, and he would walk in the locker room. He'd say, "You can't win them all unless you win the first one." And then you would sit there for a minute and you kind of go, huh? And then he'd say, "But you can win them all if you're good enough." And you kind of get ready, you look around the room and everybody's like, "All right, I'm up. How about you?" And then we get ready to go. And it kind of goes in line with that Longhorn bunch that's out there right now. I think they've got that same mentality. And, and those words were spoken as true as I'm sitting here today. And, there's a lot of guys in those, 70s and 80s teams that would tell you on opening day, he would walk in and say, "You can't win them all unless you win the first one, but you can win them all if you're good enough and you play good enough." And so obviously that's that'd be the most unbelievable thing ever. I think the record's 30 something by the '82 team. And I don't remember what it is, but it's 30 something straight games without a loss. God. And but that would be incredible. But man, this bunch is so much fun to watch right now, and they're off to a great start. And more power to them. I'm a fan, and I'm enjoying every bit of watching the orange and white run around out there and what they're doing. And I always got to plug my college roommate Doug Hodo, and he was on that '83 team. Every time he walks by me, he holds up his national championship ring. And his son playing, I got to tell you, that is really cool. His son is playing center field.
Yeah, he's good.
He's an unbelievable player. But let me tell you something about that young man. He is an unbelievable young person. He is truly a Hodo, and that goes way back generations. And, his dad was a great player. Doug was an unbelievable player that I played with, and Doug Jr. is too. And it's fun to watch that. You don't get to see that all the time. They interviewed Doug the other day, and Doug Sr. at during the game on the Longhorn Network, and that was really cool for all of us because we're all super tight. I mean, I'm telling you, and so that makes us all proud.
No, that having the legacies, that's special.
It is. Well, look at the Clemens. David Denny's son played there. Clemens' boys played there. I mean, there's something to be said for that.
I love it. It's a special time. David's doing a great job. Phil, Sean Allen, excuse me.
Yep.
They've got a good staff that gets it. And it's a good balance of analytics, metrics, whatnot, and old-fashioned baseball.
There's no doubt about it. And I'll tell you one thing about David. He's not scared.
No.
He is not. And he'll make those decisions. He'll make those choices. And I've always been impressed with that. When I first started coaching against David, even when he was an assistant, and you could tell that there was a confidence and there's an air about him that his decision process is thought through and he's not afraid. And there's a lot to that. In this business today, particularly when everything is, has a chance to be reviewed by everybody, thought of by everybody, discussed by everybody, and all the above. And it's not easy sometimes as a coach to make choices. It really isn't. And because you do think everybody thinks about that some, and but he does a good job of believing what he thinks, and then having the courage to do it and pull the trigger. I go back to this, and we can end it with this. I go back to this, that the year it was Tennessee Tech or whatever it was.
Yeah,
Braga was there, and they had 1-run lead or 2-run lead in the ninth. I can't remember what the run differential was, but it was getting close in the ninth inning, and he went to his third starter to come in relief with the tying and winning run at the plate. Now, you think about that for a second. Everybody say, well, why wouldn't you? Well, why wouldn't you? Well, if he gives up a hit or walk and he hadn't been out there in relief very often and he gives it up, then you're looking tomorrow with a starter who just pitched and his feelings are hurt and everybody's going, why'd you bring that guy in? That's right. And to me, it was a brave, courageous move, the right move. Obviously, it worked out, so it makes it the right move too. But he, in his mind, never hesitated because he and I've talked about it before. Never hesitated. That was what I was going to do. That's what I believed in. Went out there, pulled the trigger. Omaha, here they come.
It was a beautiful way, orchestrating and coaching and everything. And that team at the end of the year had a great chemistry. And what was it, Cody? Yeah, Cody was just smashing the hell out of the ball.
Yeah, they had some great chemistry, and that young man said, "Get on my back. I got you. I got you." I
got this, bro.
That guy was on fire the last 20 games of the year.
Unbelievable.
That was I mean, I've seen a lot of great ones too. Scott Bryant, we jumped on his back in 89, I think it was, and then, Dressendorfer and Swindell and all these people that, everybody, kind of jumps on and says, here we go. And there's other pieces. It's not just that, but by any stretch. But that 25 games from, latter part of April till, Omaha, I was just like, oh, my God, that is unbelievable. It really was.
That's hard to see it. But now I don't think you'll see somebody like that on this team because it's a lineup full of ballers.
A bunch of them.
It is.
I'm gonna tell you what. If you're not afraid, or if you don't wake up on Friday morning as an opposing pitcher and just feel a little bit different about having to go out and face those guys on Friday night, I mean, they'll get it. They'll get to you a little bit. You start looking at those statistics. God. And the analytic part of it is their strikeout, walk, hit by batsman ratio is flat, even. That and Texas State's is too right now, even. That is unbelievable.
I need to get down to San Marcos. I need to go see those guys.
You do. They are playing unbelievable. Stevens got them playing so hard right now, and that shortstop, Dalton Sheffield, is one of the greatest players you'll ever go watch. It truly is. And Wethridge and those guys, it is. And Zeke Wood on the mound has been the pitcher of the week. They really have it going on right now. I'm telling you. And it's kind of the same thing. When you got older guys and your strikeout, walk, hit by bats ratio is flat and your 2-out abilities are above 300. I mean, that is big time older baseball. You brought it up earlier about the two-out hitting. That's that older baseball coming out. That's why I keep saying it. I'm going to say it one more time tonight. It'll be my third time tonight, even though I've only been invited on your show twice. But I'm going to say this for the third time tonight. This is going to be the greatest year in college baseball ever, I promise you, because there's so many mature college baseball players. And if you're a true fan of the game and a true fan of college baseball, this is going to be your year.
Well spoken, my friend. And that's the truth. Unfortunately, we have an MLB lockout that we don't know when it's going to end, but this is an opportunity, as the Ty Harrington says, focus your attention on college baseball because it's at the highest level it may ever be. And invest in your minor leagues like the Round Rock Express as well.
Absolutely. And I guarantee you, ESPN, Fox, and everybody else is going, let's get this figured out. But if they can't, ESPN, we're ready for you in college baseball.
College baseball from Coastal Carolina to Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Texas State. Even go visit the Roadrunners, man. They had a signature win. Go out west. I don't know who's playing well out west right now, but there's somebody out there playing good baseball.
Here's the last thing for tonight. Send me the owners. Send me Major League Baseball commissioner. Send me the players, and let's go sit in Green Hall for 3 hours. We'll get this figured out.
Rob Manfred, MLB commissioner, we have called you out.
Green Hall, we can get this figured out.
In Green, Texas.
That's
it's
right.
a suburb.
New Braunfels, Green, Texas, we can get this figured out. I promise. Different vibe down
Green
here.
Hall.
Everybody's heels come out of that sand just a little bit lighter.
That is the solution to everything. Green Hall, and go put yourself into the fountain of youth, that being the Comal or Guadalupe River.
Yep.
You resolve life issues.
Yep.
For the great Ty Harrington, who will be on here for a third time. I don't know when that will be, but it will happen.
Sure, it'll be 5-6 more years from now, but okay.
5 or 6 weeks, maybe, or maybe days. We don't know. For Ty and the OG MANSCAPED boys, Hardball Hards, Big Mike, and the Coach Mo, we are.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up.